Jorn found that old cabin. Him and Mon were up here with me years ago. And Bjorn found that old cabin up here. We were just hiking along and I was doing a video behind me here and he went over this hill. So I walked up and looked and here's the old cabin sitting there. Now, I may as well talk a little bit today right here by this cabin because I'm talking a little bit on my Survivor series today with dogs, prepping with dogs. And I just hope I'm out of the wind enough. But I can maybe move up by this rock just a sec. Let's get right up here and back into this rock here. That should be pretty good. Now, I am up on the... I was traveling the Rim Trail, and so the valley's right down there. And we were scouting for water up here today. We had a couple inches of rain, and I wanted to see how much water was hanging out. But I'll tell you something about these old cabin locations. You see, the old boys, they knew everything. They were very particular where they put their cabin. For starters, this is a cedar draw here because of the creek and the springs, so there's lots of cedar in this thing. Now, they took mostly all cedar to build that cabin. The reason they like cedar is way easier to saw by hand and way lighter and lasts forever, smells nice, and you can lift it. And so when you're doing everything by hand, they would go and find the water first, obviously, and with it came the cedar. And so that's the nice thing about that. Now, also, when you got the water behind you and the cedar behind you, there's no chance of fire coming from that direction. And behind this, to the right here, is a high mountain, and therefore it's cool in the late part of the day because the sun gets behind the mountain right away, and they get very early morning sun to the east sitting right where they are. Now, I don't imagine that was much of a highway when they built that cabin. Today, that's the number 3 highway, one of the biggest transport highways in Canada. It's the highest elevation in Canada highway. And but at the time, that would have been a trail that they could go down to and get on and travel to one of the locations. Now, up above us, of course, they could have got onto the logging and the mining trails and went to Phoenix that way too. So these old places are ideal if you know where they are, and if you want to get away for a weekend or a week or so, those are perfect spots to do it. Now I'll just turn this camera and I'll sit down over here. I think that should work. Just point her down a little. Good. I got Kai out here with me. I'll just turn it a little bit more. I got it right against rocks, so I can't actually see through the lens. Yeah, so we're having a pretty good hike, Kai and I. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the prepping with dogs part. You can get lots of intel why you should prep for dogs from other guys. You can find out that, you're going to have to be ready to get out of the major centers now and again, and there's all kinds of chaos coming that you'll want to get out and about and just chill out here and have the time out here to get away from it all. Certainly get a little crazy, but lots of guys will tell you why and how and all those aspects. I'm simply today just going to tell you why you want to use a dog that's bred for this job and not another dog. I had a guy, actually I got about 5 emails on it. What are the dogs to use, and can you use dogs like German Shepherds, or maybe I should get a German Shepherd dog or something like that. And I'll just tell you a couple things. There's only a handful of breeds that are bred for this work, and you want an instinctive dog, okay? Not a dog that you have to train. Kai, come on up. You want an instinctive dog because out here it all comes down to the instinct, and not many guys know how to train a remote trained dog anyway. And so you want a dog that's instinctive. Kai is one of the best instinctive known lineages in the world, and we have pups from this dog. We have Rita's a daughter of Kai, and Rita has pups. Let me correct that. Rita, I have one male. One of the guys that was taking that male, he had to do something different. He couldn't take the dog right now, so I have a male. And then Kaliva has males in her litter, and Kaliva has females in her litter. She's over in Idaho. And then Sage and Aspen are coming up with this dog. Sage and Aspen are daughters of Tika, and they're both bred to Karoo, and they both carry this genetic. So phenomenal dogs for what I'm talking about. Now, if you got to go out and you got to spend time out here, you want a dog that's got hundreds and hundreds of generations of instincts bred into it for this work, which is hanging around the handler, helping the handler, hunting, looking after you out here, being able to cope with all the extremes that come out here. And one of the breeds that people ask a lot about is German Shepherds. Now, all of you know that German Shepherds, everybody is aware of that dog, they know what they're for, all of those things. The German Shepherd was never bred for this work. Now, you go back 132 years to the start of the German Shepherd, they had those 3 mutts there, and they couldn't do anything with those 3 mutts individually, so they thought, one guy thought, let's just breed them together and see if we get a better dog. And so that's where the whole thing started. Now, if you saw those 3 dogs, you'd probably never get a German Shepherd. But this lineage, that dog you just saw here, her lineage, trackable lineage, goes back further than the entire history of the German Shepherd breed. And the entire time it's been doing this. And it goes back thousands of years beyond that. But just to the start of the association, this lineage goes traceable, and then thousands of years later, and traceable on this dog is longer than the entire history of the German Shepherd breed, which is 132 years. These guys go back 1877. So, not 1 year was the German Shepherd ever bred to be working out here. So, just keep that in mind. There's only a handful of breeds, they're all Spitz breeds that are bred for this work. And you have your big livestock guardian dogs, but they're not bred for working with the handler. They're bred for working with animals. So the dogs that are bred for working with the handler are all Spitz dogs. They all stem from the Norrland dog. So that's Swedish Elkhound, Norwegian Elkhound, all 5 Elkhounds basically. The Russian Leica, the Karelian. The Karelians bred down about 1,300 years ago from the Swedish Elkhound. All dogs stem from the Norrland, all Spitz dogs. So they all come down from that genetic. So when you're looking at the Russian Leica or the Karelian or the Swedish Elkhound or the Norwegians or any of the other Elkhounds, then you're in the right genre of dogs. That's the right group of dogs. Now, the most handler focused are the Norwegian and the Swedish. And the Norwegian is more handler focused than the Swedes, but in certain lines you can really get a really good handler focused Swede. This particular line, inside of that whole genre of dogs, you have lineages that were bred very, very specifically for handler focus. So for many, many, many generations of dogs, the breeders, all the breeders before me, were breeding for handler focus. That's why this lineage is so important to preserve, and all the Europeans help us preserve it, and that's why I'm a preservation breeder, of course. But this line was bred for handler focus, and that means you can come out here. You don't need to have a whole lot of skill in training a dog. The dog already has all the skill built in, and what you got to do is just kind of go along with the dog and be happy. You got to think a little bit, but the dog's going to look after you. That's the key. The dog has all of the instinctive skills to know what it's supposed to do out here. And my lineage is well known throughout the world as one of the very best in the world for this work, this lineage. Now, all the breeders before me, of course, have had big impact on that, of course. Many 50-year breeders in the program before me. So you can understand when you get multiple 50-year breeders working on the same concept, the same ideas, all old world principles, all breeding for excellence, breeding for the exact same dog we started with way back, then you understand the dedication to this preservation. And so when you come out here, you could look all over the world for a good dog. This is the lineage that is predominantly been bred for this work the longest by far. And so that's the advantage. Now, we got a terrible thing going on in Canada, in BC, but it's going on around the world. But right now we got all these evacuations due to fire, people losing their homes. Brutal. Man-made fires, just brutal, taking out entire regions, entire communities, stuff like that. I think, I don't know, last I heard, maybe 25,000 or 35,000 people evacuated. So we're talking a huge amount of people that had to just grab stuff and go. Now, it's going to get worse. There's going to be more stuff like that, but these people are now experiencing, and there's a lot worse to come, but that's what's going to happen. They're just going to have to get mobile. And lots of those people now I know are camping, and they're out trying to remain calm and get some peace while they're having to evacuate, but not knowing what's going on at home, all those things, what's happening with their property is very, very tough. The last thing they want to do is have to worry about their dog, and so a dog like this is trouble-free. And that also allows them to get up here, get to places like this, relax, and get grounded again, get some forest healing, gather their thoughts, and not have to spend the fortunes that it costs to stay in towns, hotels, meals, all that. Everybody nowadays has a go bag. They have all their camping gear ready. They have everything set up. Anybody who lives in a forest region has everything ready so that they could just quickly grab their gear and go. But not enough are set up to understand that, hey, you know what, the most important thing in the whole go bag is the dog. And the dog should be the number one priority, because if you want to get out of that chaos, you got to get to regions like this, and you got to get away from it. And a lot of people understand that this snow belt, it runs right from the coast all the way inland to the Rockies. The snow belt is a region where all the ski hills are. You can drop a map and just boom, 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 like that. All them ski hills are on that region. And what it is that area of the Pacific there that comes in, that water comes up, condenses off the ocean, floats over this way, and dumps a ton of snow and a ton of rain. That's why this is cedar and Douglas fir in here, and it's a beautiful region because we have way less fires, almost no fires in here. It's always damp. We had 2 inches of rain the last 2 days here, and this snow belt is where a lot of people want to go when they have to disperse out of the dry regions up north. And to come down into here, it's heavy timber. It's a lot of big trees, a lot of canopy, very good for seclusion, very good to disappear in. And nobody's going to bother you up here. Nobody can even see you. They can't even find you. You can just go. But the dog's essential up here. And so these are the regions that people are headed to. The ones that are in the know, that got a go bag, that got all their stuff, they can throw their camping gear in their old Ford and head up here. Now, of course, those people are all driving vehicles with no computers in, so they can't get EMP'd. They're got their roofs painted blue. They're, you know, all that kind of stuff. They got their weapons in. They got their guns, their bows, all that. Their camping gears, everything ready, just in the truck, gone. And just first thing in's the dog. So when you're looking at which dog, you gotta think about where you're headed. Now, I don't think there's a place anywhere that I've hiked, and I've hiked I've had coffee with the muskox, and I've been in the Carlsbad Caverns. I've hiked everywhere in between. I've been right to the Niagara. I've been right to every northern region. I've hiked in the dead of winter right on the Northwest Territories border. Took a twin otter with skis on me and 3 guys and got us roughed off there on January 3rd, 45 below. Camped for 3 days up there just to see, you know, how we make out. I've been all over, all through the Whitehorse, the Yukon, Kenai Peninsula, and Alaska, all everywhere, and all through the Needles Mountains, Wyoming, the Tetons, everything. I can tell you from experience as a kid, right from just a little guy crawling around my diapers with these dogs, hiking as a little guy, as 10, I grew up in a logging family, hiking through the bush with my elk hound. Little tiny guy, little 5 little bullets on a short 22 short little rifle, single shot, couldn't hit a thing. But always with this dog, always with this breed, and phenomenal dogs, and the same dog. It's phenomenal. The dog looked the same, the dog acted the same, and the dog just wandered around the bush with me and looked after me. The little guy, I could always hear the power saws, but just had no care in the world, just wandering through the forest. Everywhere I've been, this dog is the ideal dog for that part of the world. No matter where you are, it just fits right in. I've got dogs right from Alaska to, you know, way down in New Mexico. I've got dogs. I've got dogs in Russia. I've got dogs on the East Coast. I've got dogs all over BC, every province. And wherever they are, they're the ultimate outdoor remote terrain dog. And this dog is flawless in this environment. It gives you no hassles, no special, you don't have, man, I look at some guys and they got to put boots on their dog, jackets on their dog, they got to have like special stuff for their dog. Man, I don't bring nothing. I mean, we go for days, I don't bring food, nothing. Like, they find what they need to eat, we find water. I mean, I've never put anything on my dog. I hike in the middle of the winter, all day long. And she wants to eat, go get something to eat. Like, don't wait for me. Like, there's rodents everywhere. Get at her. And so she wants to catch a squirrel, catch a squirrel. They can catch a hare, they grab the hare. Like, they're totally capable. So it's not like they're trouble-free. And no hips, no eyes, no feet, no nothing. No problems whatsoever. You give them some good companionship, and they're good. Now, of course, if you're running, if stuff is tough, you're going to feed them, and you're going to carry a little bit of stuff. But I mean, that's simple. Shoot one turkey, and you're good to go for a long time. Turkey's 10 days for that dog, and they'll tree the turkey right there. You could hit them with a stick or just shoot them with your bullets. They're just going to tree them right there. And squirrels, you could have squirrels too in a heartbeat. But the bottom line is, if you're looking to get out, you want a dog that's not overly huge. You want a dog that doesn't cause you more problem. You want it to create solutions, not problems. These dogs are phenomenal in the fact that they're fearless. Now, most people think every dog's fearless. That's a total crock. There's only like just a handful of breeds that are truly fierce. And so they're fearless, meaning they don't get spooked out. And so they're not freaking when you encounter a bear. They just watch it, move it if it needs to be, but not freaking, just nice, calm. It's a very good dog to go up here with. Not running out there yapping its face up, bringing the dog back, or the bear back. So it's really just the best. And anybody can manage it, anybody can use it. So when you're looking at your go bag, and you're looking at getting set up to get out of the environment and all the chaos, and you're coming out to a place like this, those are your very best dogs. Now, if you're just in town and you're going out for weekends, just regular camping, and you're not really into the whole survival, prep, all that stuff yet, totally fine too, you'll get there. But if you just want a dog for life, this is ideal. It's a no-odor dog. If you brush it and look after it carefully, it won't shed. It'll shed twice a year and that's it. It's not losing hair all the time. Don't overbrush, stuff like that. Feed fish. Trouble-free dog again. And so great around other dogs. Awesome family dog. Oldest family dog known to man, right? So there's not one single argument against this dog versus all the pros that it has for survival and for this type of environment, which every single person that understands why we're looking at it now and why we've been looking at it for years, and everybody's been laughing at my old trucks saying, why are you keeping them old trucks? Why are you still driving them? Well, everybody understands now. You know, as soon as they shut all your vehicles off, EMP them, boom. My old truck's still driving away, you know. And it's coming. People are starting to realize that, hey, you know what, maybe things aren't exactly as we see them. And so they're starting to now explore the prepping with dogs, getting a survival dog, understanding the dog, and maybe they're just thinking about going to an acreage, getting some chickens, getting a garden, getting some resources that they can look after themselves. This is the ideal dog. And there's so many things about it, but I'll expand on that in a bit. But I just wanted to touch on the other breeds and that sort of thing. You got to watch who you talk to about which dog to get, because a lot of guys never even been out here with the dog, so they should never tell you anything unless they've been out here. And they shouldn't tell you anything if they're walking trails and just nice, easy going. Like, get right out where it's wild and get going, and spend some time, spend some different seasons with the dog. Then you can talk. But the main thing is do your research. Don't trust anybody. I mean, you don't have to trust what I'm telling you. But I got 740 videos of me sitting up here talking about these dogs. I've got just a ton of people that I'm the largest Elcon breeder in the world. I got more people with Elcons than any other breeder. And all those people will tell you the same thing. They're a phenomenal dog for family life, outdoor life, remote terrain. And, just incredible. The litters we got coming, some of the very best genetics in the world. And so it's a profound thing. We'll probably wrap this baby up. I thought there'd be water up here, but we didn't get any. So it's not down through the aquifer yet. It'll pop out over here, but we didn't see it this morning. There should have been enough rain in that 2 inches to pop out, but it might take a day to come down. And so we'll come back on this trail in a few days and see. But Kai and I will motor, and we'll go to another location for water. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that.